What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Podcast, episode 203. Here we are talking about more video games, how consoles are dead, all the stuff that's normal on a regular given week in the gaming industry. But hey, we will talk about all of that and more. My name is Adam, aka CS Radical, joined as always by Chris, aka Jin and Chris. Kaylan not going to be with us this week. He is feeling a bit under the weather, aside from, obviously no showing half of the show last week because, dad stuff. That was fun. It's like, hey, here's the topic I have a great idea for. Gets called away from it before he can ever have a chance to say anything of it.
Right, I forgot that he still had his little list, yeah.
So I'm here because he's not here to give those couple of things. So we're going to start with that before we get into what we were playing in honor of our fallen friend who's not actually fallen. He's just probably lying on the couch playing something. I don't know. Anyway.
He's got a cold.
So
he'll be fine.
We'll start in the order that we were. So we did I can't remember. Did we start with the the not enough hype, or did we start with the overrated? I think we started with overrated. We did hot take last. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So the one that he didn't think got the right amount of hype, the one that just got nothing. He put in Ghost Recon Wildlands, which I've actually played. It's a lot of fun. I think Tom Clancy in general, if you're not Rainbow Six Vegas, oh my god, what's the really popular
Rainbow Six Siege?
Thank you. I don't know why the hell I was blanking. Yeah, that got a lot of that's got a lot of fanfare, but Wildlands has just kind of been the meh. I think we played a little bit of it together. I think at one point, and it's another one of those things. Look, I have my problem with Ubisoft in general, but in a game like that where it's just you and a couple of friends dicking about. Even if the game sucks, you can make it unsuck.
Yep. That was a fun fact. When me and Adam did play that, I was in a firefight with everybody, and I was told to get in a plane and take off with it because it was our mission. And I had my controls inverted. So when I went to take off the plane, I actually just it was on the edge of a cliff. I just straight up nosedived it right off a cliff and then could not understand why I could not bring the plane back up until I realized that I had inverted my controls and then died immediately, and we lost the mission. And it was the best Thursday night of our lives. It was so much fun.
Or like the time that I said, all right, guys, get in, and I flew us up in a helicopter and then jumped out, and none of you knew how to get into the driver's seat.
You did do that. And then we jumped, and I was like, what's the button for parachute? And then I died because I never figured out. Either I needed to have a parachute or I needed to figure out the button. But I did not survive. But again, best Thursday night ever. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's one of those games that look, we're not going to sit here. I don't know what, Kaylan, without having his full opinion here, I don't know if he would have said it was criminally, to the point of it was just abhorrently underrated. I think it's more of a sense of we're you know what, people just don't really give it any look because it's probably just of the name and also the company behind it. Whereas dude, especially now that it's always on sale, sale for quite a bit. If you can get that thing for under $20 and you got a couple of friends that are willing to dick around with it for a couple hours, you can get your money's worth out of that.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I actually want to go back in there. We just kind of got distracted by new shiny
by
games,
70 other things that it's including games that we still haven't played together that we've all gotten because we're all adults and we pick one day a week.
Yeah.
So the appropriate amount of hype he put in Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I don't have an opinion. I think you played it, Chris, because I played only a little bit of Mankind Divided.
I actually
am I mixing up? Because I finished Human Revolution. That's the one I know.
That's my issue. I beat that one. I own Mankind Divided. I haven't played it yet. It's in the backlog. I
played a little bit of it. I don't think I didn't mind it. I just don't think I was really entranced by it. But I mean, Deus Ex to me is I think it actually fits kind of well in the sense of I don't think people ever have been over the moon about it, nor have they kind of talked shit about it. So actually, it's a pretty solid pick because I don't think there's much of a mean or amazing thing to say about that people go nuts about. Human Revolution was pretty well reviewed at the time. Mankind Divided just kind of was right down the middle. I don't think really anybody said much about it.
No, it was just it's good. And then people played it and moved on with their lives and never kept talking about it. But also it I think it's just that it's fine. It's good. And that's how everybody treated it. And there was no bad stuff.
From what I remember from reviews back then, it seemed like it was. It seemed like it was a very, very serviceable game. So it wasn't anything. It wasn't like, a criminally underrated game that, people think are nines, and it wasn't a game that people were like, wow, this is actually garbage. No one should be playing this. Well, seems like a solid pick. The overrated, and this one would have been a fun one to debate, was Legend of Zelda Tears. I think he said afterwards he meant Breath of the Wild, but he did list it here as Tears of the Kingdom. I'm gonna put both in anyway because I think they're both overrated to hell. This is where I would have been like, oh, Kaylan, are we about to bond on something here?
I would have lost my shit, but
I'll help you for you in this week. Like, look, and I might have said this at some point too, during our time on this show, and I know I've probably said it to you in person at some point too. I don't understand why people love these games the same way that, like, you would like, say, Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time or whatever else. Because I played about, I want to say, like 6 to 7 hours of Breath of the Wild before I finally just put my hands up and said I can't anymore. I get, like, the in-between stuff is what kills it. I'm not going to sit here and say that, like, the combat's not fun. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, the open world there aren't fun things to do in it. And I won't say that, like, things like the dungeons aren't cool. My problem is that that's 10% of what you do, and the other 90% is you aimlessly walking doing nothing. And as someone who has seen open world games get really bad for that, I'll say it, Valhalla had more things going on in it than when I was playing Breath of the Wild, and I hate both of those games.
You take that back? No. I hear what you're saying. I think, and this is what I would have told Kaylan too if he was here. I think that the reason people do love Breath of the Wild, I think that Breath of the Wild for a lot of people is like baby's first Grand Theft Auto. Like it's a Grand Theft Auto.
Like relatively new to these type of games, yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is because a lot of people love this, and a lot of the people that I have talked to that love this and want to praise it are kids who are like 11 years old. Like, I've got a nephew and he's got friends, and my friends have kids and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who I know that only play the Nintendo Switch. They're not into PC. They're not into PlayStation or Xbox. They're strictly like just a Nintendo type of console. Maybe play some Pokemon, play some cozy Kirby. Like they're more only into that kind of vibe. And Breath of the Wild was Nintendo's answer to the open world genre. And they kind of just did it in a way that's approachable. You don't have to be like great at open world games.
Is deciding it doesn't want to work anymore. Now you're silent again.
Is it really?
Now it's fine again.
I see.
That's the second time during our recordings today that it's happening, and I'm not understanding why it's doing that. Something's weird.
No idea.
At least this time we're responding to it. But hey, either way, what were you saying there before Discord decided that you just didn't want to speak anymore?
Just that it's like baby's first Grand Theft Auto. People on the Nintendo Switch, like there are people who just only want to play like the cozy-ish, like more casual experiences. If you wanted to experience an open world game but keep it extremely casual, that is Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Like and Tears of the Kingdom too. It's not an Assassin's Creed, it's not Grand Theft Auto, it's not any of these other open world games. It's a lot more approachable. So I think if it's just somebody who wants to go in kind of like Skyrim grandma, where she goes into Skyrim, but she's not playing Skyrim how you play Skyrim. She's like walking around and living in there and taking photos and stuff. This is Nintendo's answer to like that. And I think that's where all the love comes from. Not from it being like an action-packed open world game. Mm-hmm. I think it's more the extreme casual version of it. And if you're any kind of hardcore gamer, it may be a huge off-put to you because you'll be like, when's the action happen?
It's to me, it was just more the sense of like, they're so like, it's a little bit easier in open world games that are like, say, Spider-Man, for example. It's very easy to forget how little there is in it sometimes when the traversal is really good, but also because there's so many buildings around you to kind of deflect the fact that it's, not empty inside. Breath of the Wild, the second you start that game, you are in a very massive empty field. So it really tells you right off the very bat how barren the place can be. Now, on the flip side, if you're new to it, it makes you see how large the world is. So there's the kick to that. But if you're like me and you've been playing a lot of games over time and you've played a lot of open world games, you immediately look at that and go, wow, that's a whole lot of nothing to do.
Yeah, and the people I know that love it, the things they're doing, there's so much stuff in the game that I didn't even know is in there. You can unlock a motorcycle. You can like get all these different masks. You can do all these different things, which I had no idea you could even do. But people just go in and goof around in there, much like I would goof around in GTA 5 online or something. Like
it sounds like the kind of game that like if it sinks its teeth into you, you'll find so much more than you were expecting in it. But if it doesn't catch you right away, then you're going to be sitting there being like, why?
Yes. And it caught me because I'm a huge Zelda fan and all that kind of stuff, but it was my cozy game. It wasn't the normal Legend of Zelda with the water temple. It was my extremely casual cozy game where I can just sink into a couch and run around in these fields and do like a couple temples and stuff like that, but mostly just, take in the views kind of idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I get it. When people don't like it, I do get it. I do not think it's for everybody. I don't think it's a bad game, kind of like some of the Assassin's Creeds have been, or other things. I think it's just a very barren, cozy version of an open world game.
I'll hot take it, though, at least in this aspect. I don't understand how it ever got 10s from anybody. Like, comparatively to, like, other 10s that are out there, like, I just don't see it.
I can
like
agree.
This looks like the kind of game that's like a solid 8.5, but it's got that Nintendo grace where they're always going to give it 9.5 no matter what.
Yeah, I can never really trust a Nintendo review.
Like
because they're always going to be
even though I
10s.
don't like the game, I don't think I would have sat there and be like, "Oh, this game's a 5." I just would sit there and be like, "Honestly, I think this game is an 8, but it's an 8 that bores me, so I can't play it."
That's
like
probably
when you
the
actually
best
when
way
you actually play the game, like when it's actually like doing stuff, it's fun. It's just there's only so much fun that I can have when I'm spending 15 minutes walking around, like maybe hitting a couple of guys and then just exploring and climbing. And like that's for some people really cool. It just isn't for me. That's where it comes in.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that's enough about what Kaylan, thought was. Now he's out of the picture, and we're going on to stuff, and hopefully your microphone decides to cooperate the rest of the show too. Because there's always got to be something wrong on this show. It doesn't matter, whether it's of my own doing with the way that I sometimes have video displays on the video show, or just the fact that like I don't know if it's Discord or whatever else, but just something always just decides to pick a time where it goes and no. But we'll find out.
Actually,
I guess.
There we go.
What's up?
Yeah. I was just like, oh God, did it just cut out now? But no, I'm fine.
No, okay, you're good. All right, well. We will move to what we've been playing. I'm going to start off with a game I finished in very short order because it's not a very long game. It just recently got brought out. I had this on my radar anyway because I think it was the Wholesome Direct that came out. But there was a puzzle game that really got my attention called Is This Seat Taken?
Yes! Oh, I'm dying to play this. I haven't grabbed it because of my backlog, but I want to play this so much.
It is.
Is it good?
It's very good.
I was hoping you say it's bad, so I wouldn't feel bad. I haven't played it yet.
Well, I said I finished it, so you know me. I don't finish bad games.
That's true. Yeah, you don't finish bad games.
Except for Final Fantasy 13, but that's 15. I never finished 13. Anyway, enough about JRPGs. We're doing that on Friday. This game is so I'm a little bit torn for different reasons. Like by the time you get to the end, it starts getting like absurdly stupid of trying to mess with things. And it suddenly turns into a cozy game of, all right, fine, fuck it. I'm going to go look up the walkthrough and I'm done with this level. Like, it does get to that point. The first, like, half is fantastic. Like, it's very chill. Most of them are relatively easy. It might take you, like, a couple of things. Like, okay, maybe I'll take this person out. Let's try flipping this person in, and we'll see how it works. So basically, because I'm not even explaining what the game's about, it's a puzzle game where you have different levels, and it's based off of, whether it could be a taxi, a movie theater, like maybe a restaurant. It's the idea of, okay, you got a bunch of people and they all have very specific things that they want. So if you're not watching on YouTube right now or watching on video, if you're on like Spotify or wherever else podcast or in video form, there's a bunch of people in a movie theater. Some of them want to be in row 2. Some of them want to eat popcorn, which means they want to sit next to somebody, because there will be some people like, I want to steal popcorn, so you got to put them next to someone with popcorn. Some of them are kids and they need to be with their parent. Some of them, as this round goes on, there will be like still seats that weren't cleaned up very well. So there will be like popcorn on the seats, and they'll say, well, I don't want to be in a dirty seat. And then there'll also be people that haven't showered or are wearing too much cologne, and they'll say, well, I'm really sensitive to really strong smells. Or somebody will be like, well, I'm really short, I really don't have good vision, so I need to be as close as possible, so they got to be in the front row. So there's all these things that you kind of got to figure out and kind of figure where the right spot is for them. And some of them will be like, well, I like to talk. Or in the movie theater case, they'll be like, well, I like to look at my cell phone. So you now have to make sure that there's at least no one directly behind them, because then that screen's going to flash them in the face. They can be a couple rows behind, but they can't be one row behind. It'll be the same in like, there's one where it takes place in a soccer stadium, and you can either have them sit or stand. So you got to be careful that if someone's standing, that there isn't somebody directly sitting behind them. So there's all these little things that you kind of got to keep in mind of. And there are multiple solutions. It's not like there's one. I think there might be like smaller ones, so there might just be one simple way of finishing it, but that's like figuring out where to place 7 people. But like on the much larger ones, there's multiple ways to do it. So it's not like, there's only, you got to sit there toiling about like, okay, which seat does this person have to be in? There might be some people that like, okay, the only way this person's going to work is here. But like everybody else could still maybe work somewhere differently depending on how you've kind of set up where they sit. So it's one of those games that like in the early going, when there's not nearly as much shit going on, that it is very chill. It's not easy, I would say, but more like in the sense of you feel like you're always progressing at some point. And then towards the last, like, because there's 5 major levels, the last 2 full levels that have these different stages to them, they started to throw a bunch of stuff, and I started going, man, okay. Like, I can get, like, because you don't have to literally get them all right. You can just confirm when you give up and you've gotten, like, let's say there's one spot that you're just not getting. But I like completing things, because I got that OCD when it comes to literally a number on screen saying you got 14 out of 21 points. And I go, well, I can't leave without 21 points. So I'm sure you wouldn't totally be like this either playing, Chris.
100%. I'm 100%.
So I would spend several tries agonizing over it. And there were eventually spots where I just had to give up and say, okay, what's the actual solution so I can just get this over with? So that's my one complaint, is that it does get to actually I got 2 complaints, but the major complaint is that there are a couple where it's like, okay, this isn't cozy anymore. This is now getting to the level of, okay, this is now, you either are going to spend an hour on this or you're going to just give up and look up the solution. The other complaint I have is, unless I somehow am stupid that I didn't figure it out the entire time I played, there is no way to just click a button that just says put everybody out. So that way, because some people will stay after the level goes on. Like, some of them are like on a traveling train, so some people don't get off every time. So there isn't a button to, as far as I saw, to get all of those people back off the train so you can start from scratch. Because you will, like, some of them will stay in the same seat they're in. You will have to move them. The problem is you start working with them already in their spots. So you are eventually going to get stuck that way. So what I would have liked instead is to be able just to throw them back out, because I'm going to have to replace them anyway, and start from scratch and kind of work my way through, which is a little bit easier. And I would just give up eventually and just pull them all individually out and just start from fresh again and try to do it from a different thing. So it's little things like that, but like realistically, like, it's a short game. I think it was like 5 hours it took me to go through everything. It's basically like an hour per level, depending on how much you're getting stuck on stuff. So nothing too special. And I think it's only like on Steam, if I remember correctly, like $14 Canadian or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not expensive at all. It's definitely more than worth that price. And it does do the wholesome part right, because it has a cute little story about a girl who wants to be an actress, and she goes through the entire journey with you as you're doing stuff. Like, she'll be on the train that's going to this restaurant. She'll show up at the restaurant. Now she needs to go take a plane to this place now, because you travel from like city to city. Now that you really know what each city looks like, it's not like you're going to New York and there's the fucking like Statue of Liberty right there in the corner. Like, that's not a thing that happens in this. You're gonna top down on a bus, so you're just meant to believe that you're in New York now. But yeah, it's a very, very cute little game. Like, I can't say too much else about it other than like, yeah, like it's if you're into these kind of like either chill puzzle games, like this will be more than up your alley. This is a much cheaper blueprints without nearly as much craziness.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy this at some point, like real fast. I can see me playing this on the Steam Deck.
This will also be an
Roll
easy
what?
win for Game Pass to throw on there.
Oh yeah, or if it came to Game Pass, I'd just start playing it right away. I might grab this in the next Steam sale. I don't if I can wait. I've looked; it's only $13, which is like, whoa, that's good. That's an actual affordable price, but it's also like, I have a backlog. Why don't I just play those first?
Yeah, that'd be more than enough opportunity for something to happen with it. So
Yeah. Oh, this looks so good. I remember seeing that during the Wholesome Fest back in June, and I was like, "That's something I'm buying. I know I'm getting that."
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I haven't finished Ninja Gaiden. I've kind of just gotten I won't say stuck on it. I just have it. It's similar to how I just really haven't played Doom recently. And we'll probably talk about it at some point when we talk about our main overarching topic. But like, it's hard to find the urge to play a lot of stuff right now, especially ones that are more difficult. And this one being a much more chill, shorter game made it a lot easier for me. I'm also just in a stage of like I'm trying to figure out what to do. Like I'm waiting to see if Mafia will drop a little bit down the line, because like Mafia I do want to play, but I also don't feel like spending full price on it right now.
No, it's like appropriately priced for what it is, but it's still like Canadian wise at least $70. So
And the reviews are also not like making me go, oh, I need to play this right now.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it's perfectly fine. It sounds like it might be a little bit better than what Mafia 3 was, but not maybe as good as 2. That's kind of the general sense of a lot of reviews that I've seen. But
Yeah, that's what I've seen too.
There's a lot of other stuff, and I mean, as we get more further into August, like it's going to start getting a little bit busier again, especially as we get towards September. So,
Yeah.
but otherwise, what have you been up to?
So I've been playing still Donkey Kong Bonanza. I was at a cottage over the weekend and played that a bit just because I brought my Switch with me. Nothing to really add there. It's still where it is. But I have been playing another game. This is at home. I'm more trying to figure out how to get my computer streaming to the TV perfectly. But I also bought this game during the Steam summer sale because I was very interested in it. Didn't want to pay full price because I was actually quite worried about it. But the reviews, this is like one of those games where it's like, I understand why everybody's worried about it, but the reviews were pretty decent for what it was. So I was like, you know what, if it goes on sale under a certain price, I'll grab it in the Steam summer sale. And sure enough, it went down to like, I don't know, $19, whatever it was. But it's the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, that Ubisoft Far Cry Avatar game that it seems like that's what it's going to be. I'm only, gosh, I want to say 5-6 hours in. But I have to say, this is actually a really, really good game. It is so much better than what I thought it was going to be. And it's actually different than how I thought it was going to be, because it still has some of the Ubisoft stuff. Like you can do cooking and you can find ingredients around the map and then use those to like make food and blah 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 blah, because your character can be hungry and then you can eat and blah blah blah. But to be honest, like a lot of that is just side stuff that comes up when you're in like areas like a little village or stuff with other people. And while it's cool, like if I don't want to do it, I just skip it. If it's like, oh, you can learn this recipe and find these 3 ingredients and blah blah blah, and it's like, I just don't want to. Like I'm just not going to do that. But the actual just main going through the story part and like the world itself, this is one of the most beautiful freaking games I've ever seen. I did grab this on PC. I originally had it on my PS5 wish list like back before, just in case, like before it even released. And after seeing reviews and seeing stuff, I was like, no, if I'm going to play this game, and after I built my PC, I'm like, this has to be played on a PC because it pushes the friggin' limits. It is not afraid to just be like the most ridiculously graphically heavy game I think that I've ever seen. The gameplay is a lot of fun in the sense that it is open world. There are going to be like, you'll see an area where all the vegetation is dead and like the area seems dead. And either there will be a base or there will be like a human base. Obviously, you're playing as an avatar or whatever, the Navi. or it'll be like a drilling operation, and there'll be enemies there, and it's kind of like if you destroy the drill that's there or destroy the base, then it'll destroy it, all the enemies will leave, and it'll restore that part of Pandora. And what I like about it is you kind of have two ways you can go in. You can try and be sneaky and take out the enemies in there like one at a time with a bow and not really get seen. You can go in and just use an actual like normal gun, like a human gun, and try and just do guns blazing if you can survive it. Or you can actually sneak through the base, so you don't even have to kill anybody, because if you destroy the 4 things or whatever you need to destroy in the base, all the enemies are actually forced out of it, and the base is overrun with nature, and nature returns to that area. So I've actually done a bit of each, and I find the stealth a lot of fun, whether it's killing from a distance or even sneaking into the base and destroying it without anybody even seeing me. The game is not really, even though it gives you an option for it, it doesn't seem to be where you can just go in guns blazing. Anytime I've done it, and I do not have it on a high difficulty or anything like that, I die very quickly if I try and do that, because there's just all these mechs and you're just one character. But it's a lot of fun. Like, honestly, like all the worries I had with this game where it was like, get to the tower, climb a tower, it will obviously unlock more of the map. This doesn't have any towers. It doesn't have that. It's just when you get to a village where there are Navi living in a tree or they're living in a whatever, like obviously there's Navi kind of all around the map. When you get to the village, they become fast travel spots. And then if you destroy a base, I believe those also become fast travel spots. So it actually kind of makes more sense than just like climb this tower and claim it for your own. They completely took that away. You can do crafting for new weapons and stuff and gear. I haven't done much of that at all. The crafting I do is pretty standard. Like if you find sticks, you can craft more arrows. You don't just have unlimited ammo. But the nice thing is that if you find these sticks in plants and stuff like that, you kind of always have access to ammo if you decide to go with a bow. Which is what I pretty much use all the time. But yeah, like for an open world game, I find this way better than like a Far Cry game, which has the towers, and Assassin's Creed with the towers and stuff too. It is actually a lot of fun. It's very Avatar, and it has references to the movies and stuff like that. So like if you're not a fan of Avatar, this probably isn't the game for you. It's not like, oh, it's fine, you can pretend this isn't Avatar. No, it is very much like you're a Navi. You were with humans because they raised you as a child, or a few of you. You were able to eventually escape after the events of the first movie happen, and then now all of a sudden you're brought in with a resistance. This is all like in the trailer, like basic game opening stuff. But it is very much the movies. It's like humans are bad and they're here to mine everything, and we're the resistance or whatever to stop them, and you're a Navi and blah 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 blah. Yeah, but I do find the game to be actually enjoyable to go around. It is a big open world, but you seem to move through the map really quick, and you do get obviously a mount and stuff like that in the game, which makes it even easier to get around. Which is actually kind of cool because you can get an Ikran, one of those flying things from the movie, and you can actually like stop them in the air and shoot your bow like from the sky off of them. The only thing is that they have like an energy and stuff themselves, so if they get attacked too much, like I am assuming you have to force to land or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how it works because I haven't had it happen to me yet. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. The visuals are insane. If you have a computer that can run this, Adam, you do. It looks really, really, really insane. Like when you have the graphics turned up, man, like I've never seen really any game quite like this with graphics. It's pretty wild. But
sure is a damn shame that I hate this license.
Yeah, if you don't, that's the thing. If you don't like this license, it's not going to grab you, because it's not like, oh, it's okay, it's a different genre, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like it fits. This type of game fits very much for this world. It would have probably not been as good if it was like a 3D action game and blah, 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 blah. Because in the Avatar movies, it's more about like bow and arrow. Maybe you have a gun. And it's like, the humans are here on this planet. This actually fits extremely well. But again, like if you don't want to be a Navi shooting a bow and arrow at mechs walking around on Pandora and basically feel like you're in one of the movies, this will not be a game for you because it is just so Avatar. It is so much the license. Which I mean, I got to give Ubisoft credit for. If they were going for basically doing a tie-in movie that takes place between like the first and second movie, I think this would fall in between. They did a really good job. Making a game accessible to everybody who doesn't maybe care about the Avatar movies but wants to play a game. They didn't do a great job there, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not gonna be something that gets my attention just because the license has never done much to me. It's like you suggesting a Lord of the Rings game to me at this point either. It's like I'm out.
Yeah. And I will also just quickly say, like, I wouldn't have paid full price for it. I don't think it's like, this is my personal opinion and my bias here, but like if this was 80 Canadian, I wouldn't have been overly happy with it because it's like fun to go in and play and goof around. I'm pretty sure the main story will be like 15 hours, which is great. But like for all the extra it adds and everything, which I'm not very interested in, if you're not interested in any of the side stuff, I would say this is an on sale game, which is good because it goes on sale for like I think 25 Canadian or 20 US like all the time now, and I think it's even going to get cheaper as time goes on. So just wait for a sale. It always is, and if you're interested, then grab it during one of those.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. All right, well, it's time to talk about gaming's dead. You ready?
Yeah, games suck. No.
So there's a few stories that kind of link together kind of really well here. So the first bit is that Gen Z is really like, it's shocking to say this. They're not spending that much on games. It's almost like a world where everything's too expensive. It's really hard to find a job. And also like most of the games that people of that age group are into generally seem to be the live service games. Yeah, they're not going to be spending full price on games like we did when we were coming out of high school. Which is such an, like, I saw the article and immediately went, no shit. And like the big thing that they were saying is like they're spending a quarter less than usual.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. Crazy. Like that's not for nothing.
Yeah, it is wild to think about. Like if I was in the industry, I'd be like, oh crap, like these new gamers, like we're gonna have to change everything. And that's how you end up with some of the decisions some of these companies have definitely made, especially like live service and stuff like that. But I get it. Like if you take these, younger people, they were raised, you and I were raised on something like a Game Boy or something, right? Like that was like, oh cool, this is our toy, and like you bought a game for it, you played that game. When you're done, you take that game out, maybe you trade it in, buy a new game, and here you go. They were raised on apps on an iPad and shit. Like you had games that you didn't have to pay for and you just saw some ads and you played it, and when you were done with it, you just unclicked it and swiped over and here was your next one.
It's funny how, and this is a great topic to go ham on for a little bit, because God, do I love taking shit and throwing it back in the developers' faces. This is what happens when you overflow the market with gotcha games and free-to-play mobile trash. Because guess who is playing them? Kids. And what happens when you want them to pay $80 for a fucking game that is not going to suddenly give them like thousands of hours of content that they can just play over and over again? They're going to not want to touch that. You kind of did this to yourselves, guys.
Oh, no, they did. Because when you think about it, like I've seen it when, iPhones were coming out or smartphones and iPads and all that kind of stuff. I was obviously excited. I mean, I was in my 20s and everything when it was happening, so I already had my gaming habits built. But it was like, oh, Tetris is on the iPhone. Oh, cool. It's free. You do not have to pay for this licensed Tetris game. This isn't even like one of those fake, other ones. This is like a legit Tetris. And it was like, here's a game. It's free. There will be ads. You can pay to get rid of the ads and pay for like other modes within it or something. But still, you could just play Tetris for free. You didn't have to buy a Tetris game. So why would, in the simplest fashion, I'm using Tetris because like that's kind of what got me into gaming in the 80s, like a Game Boy with Tetris on it. If you have Tetris for free that you can get on an iPad or a phone, something you already own and do not have to buy and you're already addicted to because it has TikTok and YouTube and all that other stuff on there, why would you buy another device and then buy a $50 version of Tetris, which is leagues better than obviously the one on the iPhone? But why would you do that when you already have a device and there's a free version and you can just play that?
Like, there's really a conversation to be had about how you could have done a much better business model in retrospect where, I mean, obviously when we saw like Square was putting games out for like $10 on phones and we all
Yeah.
balked at it. But why was that? Because games at that point were already free to play.
Yeah.
So like
I did the same thing.
there was a world where they could have just simply stuck and said, okay, we're going to put this game out. Sure, like it's a piece of shit that we're just kind of randomly throwing out there on a mobile device just to make it work. $5. But the fact that so many things came out for free that it started a trend that they just couldn't get out of. In a similar way that like Microsoft, which is another part of the conversation here, where they didn't sell much of anything in terms of consoles. They've only sold, from what we've seen reported here, less than 30 million between, and that's the X and S combined.
That's insane.
And as we've said, they've kind of did this to themselves because you put out, and again, as a gamer, like Game Pass is still at this point in time, maybe in a couple of years, won't be saying that, but like at this point in time, it's a great deal. So, and also, if you have a half decent PC, you can play a good chunk of shit off of that too. So, when you create a market where you're incentivizing people to not buy your console anymore, not to mention now that they're starting to move their strategy to just being multi-platform for a lot of their games, yeah, like, that's not going to help. And when your business practices are kind of leading people to decide to play in a certain way, and you act surprised when they aren't diverting to the way that you want them to that makes more money, you don't get to have the shocked Pikachu face, you know?
No.
Like,
no, and
I was just gonna say, like with Gen Z, like again, like this was a very easy thing to fix if you hadn't gotten them so addicted with all, especially like Japan is so responsible for so much of this shit that's happening, or China now with a lot of the Hoyoverse stuff. Like it's gonna make it like that. It's not gonna crash the industry, but it's definitely fucked the AAA industry for years now, and it's gonna continue to do so. We've talked about why AA and indie are doing so well. It's because the games that they produce are cheaper and are also way more interesting experiences than what AAA is offering right now. Because like, if I'm like 18, why the fuck would I give a shit about whatever thing Xbox is promoting when for free Genshin Impact exists?
Yeah, it's true. I've actually got a really good example of this, and I have a friend who is a couple of kids, young boys. And his one young boy is at the very early stages of teenager. So he's like between like 11 and 13. I just don't want to give too many details away. But he started, I've known him his whole life. He started his gaming on the Nintendo Switch. That makes sense, right? You get to a certain age, parents are like, all right, you always buy the Nintendo, right? The only game he played on there was friggin' Rocket League. And that's it. That's all he played. To this day, that's still all he plays. But now this is going to kind of tie into the console conversation as well. He was obsessed with moving to PC because kids with these live service games, well, where's the best version of those live service games is PC. You want to be like the best at Fortnite. You want to be the best at Rocket League. You want to be the best at Call of Duty. You want to be the best at blah, 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 blah. PC, right? Because they have the best performance, mouse and keyboard, all that kind of stuff. He was obsessed. He saved up all his money over many allowances and over time and got himself a decent gaming laptop. And for, for what the price it was and he could get it at and all that, for his age especially, it's actually pretty good. It's not like crazy high end. This isn't like he didn't have like $3,000.
Not my PC.
No. It's like very much like, kids' first gaming laptop, but it's a gaming laptop with a graphics card and all that kind of stuff. And what does he do? He only still plays Rocket League. So he already had Rocket League, saved up over, I think, 3 years total, bought himself a PC to continue playing the exact same live service game, but at higher fidelity frame rates. And now he's competing with other people using mouse and keyboard and all this other stuff because that was what was important. And I know PC's doing pretty well. And I feel like when it comes to Gen Z, this is kind of tying into it because you start on a console with, say, Fortnite and stuff. all of a sudden it's like, well, now I need a PC. I need the best version of Genshin Impact. I need the best version of Fortnite. I'm only going to get headshots and be number one in the world and blah, 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 whatever kids think. If I have a mouse and keyboard, right? I need 240 frames per second. I'm not going to get that on an Xbox. I'm not going to get that on a Switch, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, I've seen this trend in some of the my friends' kids and stuff growing up because I love talking video games with kids because we have the same thing in common. I'm basically a big kid, right?
Except you
and then
don't
where they
because
go,
because they don't play anything that you've ever played.
not a single thing. And I'm like, oh, are you excited for this game? I'm pretty sure at one point a kid told me like, no, that costs money. What? Yeah. Oh my God, our economy's going to die. Not just our economy, just the gaming economy, I mean.
Like,
but the one that matters.
it's fixable, but they need, like, the industry needs to course correct fast, assuming that they want to go back to, like, if Microsoft, if Sony, if Nintendo, I mean, Nintendo's fine, they're on their island still, they're good to go. But if Microsoft or Sony especially, if they want to course correct things, they need to make sure that their lineups are free of this. There's nothing you can do about whatever China and Japan is developing because that's their thing. Like they're, especially China. There's nothing you can do to stop them. That they're doing what they're going to do right now. You have to ensure that you are staying away from this. And that means Sony staying away from live service. I know it's hard, but that's going to be the solution. Because if your business model, unless you decide to take the Concord risk for the rest of your life, which, by the way, how's that working out for you? You're going to have to do something different. Because Microsoft is clearly showing that it's not working for them because they can't release a fucking first-party game.
And they're basing it all on a subscription model. Both of them are having
problems, but like Microsoft especially just keeps shutting down studios.
Yeah, they can't. It's weird because it seems like Game Pass would make so much money for the number of subscribers they have, but obviously the
not when
costs
all the
behind
games
scenes,
you're making are hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah,
I can't. Like we've had this conversation before, but I can't fathom a person who went to school for business and economy and all this shit could sit there and look at, all right, so we're going to have a business model where people are not going to buy our games physically or at full price. Okay. So they're only going to pay at most $20 a month. So at most, we're going to get $240 from them a year. Maybe a couple things here and there on like smaller games, but like none of our AAA games, because we're going to put them all on Game Pass, they're not going to buy them. So we're only for this person getting $240 a year. Okay. So let's assume that's like, it might even be more, but just to be like, let's assume that's 75% of the people on our player base, that they are not going to be buying full price. Okay, so only 25% are going to be paying, if we're lucky, full price for these games. They may wait for it's on sale or may not play it at all, because they may not even be for them. Maybe we should take the fact that we know now that we are not going to get a stupid amount of $80, $90, $100, sales on stuff, and think about possibly making games that are not going to cost as much so that we don't potentially incur any massive losses. We can still have our big, here's our big triple, like 3-digit million, production as our big flagship, but here's a bunch of games that cost anywhere between $5 to $20 million. Instead, they went choo-choo and went full speed ahead right over a fucking cliff.
Yeah. Oh, God. And it's also hurting because I'm sure they're trying to cut corners or they're trying to figure out stuff. Like even some of the AAA games that are
by cut corners, you mean cut jobs. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yes. They're hurting the actual game quality themselves too, because it's like either they're just like not releasing at all and then they're firing everybody instead of having good management decisions and stuff, or they're like trying to push a game out before it's ready, and then it comes out like Redfall, where it's like, ugh, that's kind of crap, or they're like really banking on one game to build a hype, aka Starfield, which while that's a good and fun game, that wasn't like a system crazy seller
And
thing,
also,
in my
you
opinion.
put it out there for free, essentially.
Yeah. Like, and they're wrong. Like, they put their games on Steam, they go a little multi-platform, but the games on Steam are the full price. They're the price that you would buy on Xbox. And Xbox has been doing that since like 2015 or something. Like the last 10 years, you could always buy the Xbox game right on Steam day one.
But you also assume at that point, then, like, let's even just be charitable and say it is like exactly 30 million copies of both consoles they've sold. If you're doing like the math, like even if it's, let's say even half of them could still potentially want to buy a physical copy of something or buy it full price without Game Pass, that's still 15 million people that you are not getting money from for this game.
And even with physical, your numbers are definitely way off, because Microsoft has, like, Xbox, you can't even find physical games anymore. You go into an EB Games / GameStop.
We know how
like
much game
games.
sales also sell because Square bitches when stuff hits like 10 and it's not enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they need to make their money back, and the cost is insane. Like, this is just a bad business, and they keep trying something. It's like Xbox has the new PC version of Xbox that's rumored, and their new handheld is a PC. Clearly, they're like, all right, the console way of us doing stuff isn't working. We're gonna have to pivot to where maybe it's safe. And then
it
like,
seems
there's
like
only,
they don't have a choice, because even Sony's joining the fray. Like, they're now saying that they're going to have more of a platform-centric, or a multi-platform centric view of things rather than being, so focused on hardware. To me, which goes, I mean, I don't even necessarily think that's bad, because let's be real, like, what are you going to do with hardware that's going to be that much bigger? Like, whenever the PS6 does get announced, I don't think we're expecting much in terms of an upgrade at this point, because, like, what is there to upgrade?
No, I know. I think it'll be like a PS5 Pro, but at the cost of a PS5. Like, it'll be kind of like that. It's
getting to the point that, they should be focusing way more on library than focusing on hardware, which is the key.
Yeah.
Also, it is kind of a stupid thing for them to say, given that they have no games that they're making anymore because they've canceled at least half of them.
Yeah. But
it really, sorry, just not to interrupt, but like, it really shows that like there is a dire need for the industry to change, and the fact that the console wars is seemingly done. Like, when we say the console wars is over, is not necessarily like hyperbole. Xbox is looking to start releasing their major games on PlayStation. They already are starting to do so. Sony is considering this. I don't know if they're considering Xbox. Obviously, with PC, they're now no longer making things completely exclusive. Somehow, we all were joking for the longest time that Nintendo was going to be the one to crack first, because they're literally the most islandy of them all. And they can't get any third party really on their systems because it's so outdated. Nintendo just won. They're the last survivors that aren't doing that.
Yeah. It's not even like they won. They just outlived it.
I mean,
yeah, because the crazy thing...
You know what they say is the two best words in the English language. Default! Default!
Yeah, like Sony, like you can see Sony's doing it. They're obviously putting stuff on PC. They're putting some stuff on Switch, like Lego Horizon, which I think it makes sense there. But that's still, that's where Sony looked at Nintendo and went, well, we got to release that game there. I don't think you need to put like
every PlayStation game on everything, but like there are certain things that just make perfect sense.
Oh yeah, but like Helldivers is coming to Xbox now. MLB The Show has been on Xbox for a bit. Like, it's a very slow trickle out.
Like, you could almost say, like, it'd be stupid of them to not start putting on the Uncharted collection on there as well.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. But
Helldivers, though, makes perfect fucking sense for that.
Oh, of course. Especially, like, at this point, because it's like enough people may kind of drop off it a little bit, but all of a sudden more hype comes up because now it's on Xbox, starts the hype all over again. Like, they're pretty smart with the way they're doing that.
Yeah, it sounds like they're not nearly as desperate as say Microsoft is, where they're really needing to get some money back.
Oh yeah,
but Sony's definitely in a train of like, okay, we can't just hold everything close to the chest anymore.
No, because like even though Sony obviously has way outsold the Xbox. I think that a lot of people are...
Oh, there goes your mic again. Now you're back.
Oh, Great.
I don't know what's going on. It's weird. At least this time it was like
it's
2 seconds, so it's fine. You can just restart your thought.
It's just that when it comes to PlayStation, like, yes, they definitely won in the sense of number of console sales, but as we've seen, like, they're slowing down a lot. I think people are kind of like not really using their PS5s as much as they probably would. A lot of people I know haven't even turned it on in a long time, and it's kind of like these consoles are shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. Going multi-platform makes sense, but they haven't also figured out a reason to keep people on their hardware at all. Um, and the thing is that what a lot of people forget is that, sure, making their own games is important, but a lot of their money came from third party. If you go and buy a game on the Xbox store, they get 30% of every game sale. You go in a PlayStation store, 30% of every game sale. It's the only reason Steam exists. Like, Steam puts out a game like once every 10 years and everybody's all excited. But really, it's just Steam has a great platform that you want to use as a consumer, and they get 30% of all of it, right? Like, that's why they're worth so much money. Whereas it's a lot harder to justify going out and buying an Xbox or a PlayStation right now and then buying your third party games on there. Like, does it make sense? If I wanted to buy, that Avatar game, sure, it's on Xbox and it's on PlayStation, but what's my incentive to go and buy it there and have my games playing on that system versus elsewhere, right? Because they're going multi-platform, and all of a sudden people who wouldn't have gone PC, or their PC was more of a hobby, or maybe it was just for online certain types of games, all of a sudden every PlayStation and Xbox game is there. Maybe they don't need an Xbox anymore. Maybe they don't need a PlayStation, which is, again, why I think Xbox is seeing the writing on the wall, and they're like, our next console is actually just a PC. We're going all in with PC, and they're trying to just get people to use the Xbox app. They've given up kind of on hardware, and it's like, use our app. Use the Xbox app, subscribe to Game Pass, maybe buy the odd game there. But even they know you're not going to buy the games there because they're putting Steam and stuff and other platforms as an availability on their own consoles. So you can buy an Xbox, but just play Steam. As me, I'm very happy with that, because if it's cheaper and better running than my current PC, then yeah, why wouldn't I throw that Xbox under my TV and have a console-like looking box that just plays my Steam games directly under the TV natively without having to stream it and do all this other bullshit, right? But that's, again, are they more shooting themselves in the foot and kind of furthering into the bad direction of going harder onto just subscriptions are what matter, instead of making good games on good hardware that makes people want to buy it? It's tough.
It really does seem like a case to even tie it back to the Gen Z stuff again. Like, it really does tie back to the starting of phone gaming, to the starting of like live service gaming. Mm-hmm. Like, the same thing that happened with World of Warcraft, where everyone kept trying to pounce on what that game was doing and failed and lost so much money, and so many places just couldn't handle that and closed. It's that, but on a industry-wide scale now, because World of Warcraft was just a single niche kind of game. You didn't have to worry, like, World of Warcraft wasn't taking away from Call of Duty, it wasn't taking away from Counter-Strike, it wasn't taking away from that side, wasn't taking away from sports games, wasn't taking away from others. Live service is not a single genre. It is a type added to a genre. So because of Fortnite, because of Valorant, because of all of these games that are keeping people consistently on their game and no other game, everything is taking a hit because of it. Now, at the end of the day, there was no way that this was never going to happen. But it could have been a much softer blow if these greedy corporate executives didn't chase the dollar sign in the way that everything is happening in the real world. As we enter the late stages of capitalism, everything is going to come to a crash, because eventually the money has to stop somewhere before eventually there's nowhere for it to go. And that's what's happening in the industry. It's never going to die, but for the biggest and highest of companies, they are only able to go in so many directions, and because of that, so will the money. And the money is getting stuck. and there's nothing they can do to stop it. I say that half jokingly because one half is they could fix it tomorrow if they wanted to. The other half is, but they won't because it's not the profit margin that they're seeking. The reality is, if starting tomorrow, every major AAA publisher stopped planning and producing live service type games, this could be solved. Because Fortnite will still exist, Valorant will still exist, fucking Genshin and all the hoyover, like Zenless Zone Zero and all those, they will still exist. But they will have their corners of the market, and you still have yours. Because if you slowly whittle away these things, like if Call of Duty Warzone slowly fades away, and now it becomes back to the normal, here's the Call of Duty yearly release, or here's like the big Modern Warfare game. If you slowly weed out all of those, and it starts being like, okay, there's like 20 of these games left, so you're all in those pockets and you stay there, and the rest of the industry is back to where it was, that can fix that. You can get back to what it... Because the thing with the whole multi-platform stuff, it was never an issue before. It's not like there weren't exclusives back in the PlayStation 2 and Xbox days. That was always a thing. The difference is there were still a lot of games that were on each of them and like constantly keeping the libraries vibrating. The problem now is everything that's AAA is either on everything or it's on one. And you have to choose. And it used to be that, especially too, because the consoles weren't nearly as expensive, at least to my recollection. I'm trying, like, obviously inflation is such a weird thing to figure out now, but like, you could consciously make a decision that, all right, if I pick the PlayStation 2, I'm maybe never going to get to play Halo, but goddamn it, is there a bunch of other stuff here? Or, well, shit, I'm going to be playing Halo and Gears of War and all those games. It sucks that I'm not going to be able to play Uncharted or whatever, but, like, I've got a steady stream. Now, if you make a console choice, you're getting the same kind of games that Xbox is getting, and that's it, because nothing else is coming out. Why would you play on console when there's nothing unique to that library? You might as well just get
the issue.
Like, if you're already going to pay like $600-$700 for a console, why don't you just pony up the extra like $200-$300, get a half-decent gaming PC, and that covers you for about the same time as that generation, but you get access to almost everything now.
And yeah, that's like you're hitting it, what I was feeling, like nail on the head, because like Astrobot on PS5, an incredible game. It was only on PS5, and it felt traditional gaming in the sense of like, this is a PlayStation mascot, basically.
But is it worth sitting there for a year waiting for the next Astrobot?
No, and that's the thing. Like Sony and Microsoft, which this is what Nintendo does. Nintendo has all of their franchises. They've got a new game that not all of them are for you, but you always know that every 3 or so months, maybe 4 months, there's a new Nintendo game in general. It might be Mario Kart. Yeah, there's a Mario Golf, and then there's a Princess Peach, and then there's a Kirby. Like, there's always something. Whereas PlayStation, Xbox, they used to have that. PS3, you had an entire Uncharted trilogy that came out, and you like went through an entire trilogy like a movie you would on an entire generation, as well as other games and stuff. Right now on Xbox or PlayStation, at least with first party, you'll get one game like Astrobot, and then it's another year until the next one. Did I cut out again?
Yeah, but for like a half a second.
Oh, yeah, you'll have your Astrobot, which is great, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, but now it's another year until Spider-Man 2. And it's like, oh, I got to wait a year. And then it's like, if it's on PC, sure, you'd have to wait until you got Spider-Man 2, but it's going to go there. Astrobot's like basically the only PlayStation game that isn't on PC because it requires the DualSense controller so much. And I guess they don't want to force people, or maybe they're actually trying to keep people on the console. I don't know. But it's like one of the only times where it's an actual like feeling of, I need this console so I can experience this Sony ecosystem, the Sony IP, the Sony stuff, much like you used to get with Halo, like you mentioned. But now you want to play Halo, sure, it's on Game Pass, and you're going to be able to play it on a PlayStation or a PC or an Xbox. Up to you. Maybe you don't even have either, and you just have a phone, and you're going to do cloud streaming for the new Halo. Sure, I'll do it. I'll grab a controller and hook it up to my iPad or something, right? There's so many things now that's why Microsoft has hit so hard. They've given people so many options where you don't feel like you're ever missing out. You can go anywhere and play it, which I guess in a way is good, but also not good if you wanted to be Microsoft to lock in that store of getting 30%. They started losing the console war and were like, let's go based on subscription, and basically just shot their store in the foot. They just recently, 2 weeks ago, closed down the movies and TV shows that were available on the Xbox store. You could buy your media there. They got rid of that. You can still watch stuff that's on there. Who knows for how long, but I have a feeling people's libraries will eventually disappear, and all the movies and TV shows you bought with money are going to just be gone, probably. Which is crazy. And, Sony's got their own thing on there for watching movies and buying and stuff there. It's like Sony Core. How long before they shut that down? Because not enough people are going to use it, and their store is faltering because of live service and not having anything unique that you actually have to go to this one platform to get. Yeah, it's tough, and it's like Nintendo somehow was like, nah, we're just going to keep doing the same thing. And even when it's like, oh, Nintendo's probably going to fail, they're not, going everywhere else. And it's like, they might be the only ones that are going to sell crazy amount of systems, because where else were you going to play Mario? Where else are you going to play, hook up to your TV some Mario Kart? Where are you going to do it?
Yeah, like, at least from the industry perspective, the simplest solution is cut out the free-to-play live service stuff as much as you can, so it starts bringing people back into experiences that, will cost something. But also, and we talked about this before, they need to start making smaller games and charging less for them. You cannot just keep releasing $80 games anymore. It's not going to work now. I'll get into why in a second, but simply in the gaming perspective of things, there needs to be 10-hour, $30 experiences again. And not
100%.
just from the indie scene. The indie scene is doing perfectly fine. They are thriving right now. It's the AAA scene that's fucked, because they've decided that it has to be, the $300 million budget, epics that we have to make. No, it doesn't. Just because you're AAA doesn't mean you have to spend the most.
100%.
Like, to do a terrible analogy for this, do you know how certain sports teams don't always win the championship when they spend the most money?
Mm-hmm.
You know how in baseball, for those that are baseball savvy, the Tampa Bay Rays used to make the playoffs, and in some cases the World Series, being one of, if not the lowest payroll teams in the league. Sometimes you can do really well by just having really good analytics, knowing what you excel the most at, and just loading your team up to do that. The Rays are really good at small ball. The Kansas City Royals won the World Series by being really fast and really good defensively and really good in the bullpen. They didn't have super expensive power hitters. They didn't have super expensive starting pitching. They just did everything really, really well collectively, and didn't cost them like the moon to fucking do that. So as a game developer, you don't have to have the best graphics, massive amounts of high-name celebrity voice acting. As much as we love I love that Martin Sheen, of all people, was in Mass Effect, but it doesn't have to always be that. You don't have to have hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of gameplay. You don't have to have a map that's the size of a fucking small country in Europe. You can make a game that looks as good as Sea of Stars, takes about 10 hours, and costs you $10 million to make. And if you charge $30 US for that, and it's 9 out of 10 reviewing, you'll make your money back and then some. Yeah. Or if you're
Absolutely.
in Microsoft's case and you're sticking to Game Pass, there's a bunch of stuff coming out sooner because it won't take 7 years to make, if not longer. Or in the case of a lot of games recently, they won't be in development for 10 and get canceled and the studio gets shut down. What a waste of time and money that was for you guys. I bet you feel fucking stupid about that. Oh, wait, you're just going to do it again in about 2 weeks when you decide to pre-produce the next big Fortnite clone that's going to cost you $300 million and fail.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine if the PlayStation and Xbox, like if Microsoft and Sony had a steady stream of games where every 3 or 4 months there's a game, tons of them are just small, like they're, like you're saying, the $30 US game, but they're using
I haven't
Microsoft...
turned my PlayStation on in forever.
Yeah. But imagine like Sony was using all their IP they weren't using before. There's a new Sly Cooper game, but it's small. It's a $30 game, 10 hours, like retro graphics or something, whatever would keep the cost down. Microsoft is doing stuff with some of its other IP that now it owns from all of the fucking different things. Like they own now technically Crash Bandicoot. Oh, here's a $30 new Crash Bandicoot type game or a Crash Racing or whatever.
Like, you know how Ubisoft
and,
did like a Prince of Persia like side scroller? Like you can use your licenses to do something other than an open world epic. I want companies to understand this. You do know that games exist other than open world RPGs and live service shooters, right?
Yeah. Because there's so many that they both have so many IPs that they could pour into these much smaller games. And if they're releasing that on their consoles, even if they're going multi-platform, at least it would give people a really good reason to get Game Pass of like, oh, I can't not because every Xbox game is coming out every 3 months. I can't cancel my subscription. There's always something I'm ready to play. And then on PlayStation, be like, well, I want to play my PS5 because look at all these like cool little games that are coming out, like Parappa the Rapper 3 or some shit, like whatever it may be.
Here's a cool idea. You come up with something, oh, I got a great idea for a game. So let's make a game that's like a hack and slash game, but it's to the rhythm. And also it's like this really cool, like it's kind of like a cell shade, like, you know, Saturday morning cartoon vibes. It's like a big emphasis on like guitars and stuff. You know, let's get a Japanese developer to do it. I'm sure they'll do great. Oh, wait. That's Hi-Fi Rush.
I knew exactly where you were going. But yeah. Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush is a perfect example. It was so well reviewed.
You know it
and then
didn't
just
cost them that much to
got...
make.
No. And just, well, it was an easy cut. It was a small studio, so easy cut. But like, fuck. Imagine there was a Hi-Fi Rush type of game on PlayStation and Xbox every few months. Like one is a Sony exclusive, the other a Game Pass exclusive.
You as a AAA company, like between Sony and Microsoft, between all the studios that you have, you should have a game coming out minimum every 6 months. Minimum.
Yeah, 100%.
It should be more than
Absolutely.
that, but minimum. And neither of them, like Xbox threw a bunch down in like the last couple of months, and now it's dead again.
Yeah, it's just dead again. And the thing is like, I'm an adult with money. I'm in my 40s. I have an adult job. I still have the same habit and gaming habits that I had when I was a teenager, but now I have all this money. Sony, I want a reason to own your console and play games on it. Microsoft, I want a reason to have an Xbox specifically instead of just going onto my PC. I want a reason for all this stuff. Like Steam, great platform. Obviously, they don't put out a lot of their own games, but they're always pushing different stuff, and they know that. They pushed out the Steam Deck. They basically pushed the PC handheld. It was like, hey, here's a thing, and it's open, but you can use Steam on it, blah, blah, blah. Like, obviously, they don't make games as much, but they've figured out ways to keep people interested in their platform. Different Steam sales, the crazy prices, all that kind of stuff, right? And it seems like, you know, Sony, Microsoft, find your niche, find your thing that people have to come to you for. So that maybe they want you as a side console or like a main console or like the thing they keep under their TV when they don't feel like being on their PC. You know, do something like a Nintendo where it's like, hey, at least you have a reason to keep coming back. Even if you're not our favorite place to be, because I don't think a lot of people like Nintendo is, I think usually the side console for most people, but it's something that people constantly go back to. It's probably the thing I buy the most games on outside of PC. Just because it's like, oh, I feel like playing the new Mario, I'll grab it. Like, Sony and Microsoft need something.
So, not counting today with this new PC, which makes my decision making very easy with the power that I now have on my desk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before this real dead period on the consoles, like, let's say the first couple of years of me owning both these consoles, I would say that I was playing games at about, I'd say 50% on my PC, 30% on my PlayStation, and another 20% on my Xbox. And it might be you can kind of fudge numbers a little bit, like take 5 here and there from something else, but it was a pretty good split. Now, if I don't count the time I spend playing MLB The Show on my Xbox, when I'm like just in the middle of like a podcast game, if I'm talking like actual unique gaming experiences, it's 100% on my PC right now in the last 6 months. I honestly don't remember the last thing I played on my PlayStation. And anything that I play on Xbox, I play on Game Pass for PC.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, if my thing, I just don't sit at my desk as much. I'm more of a under the TV gamer, but now all I've been trying to figure out is streaming my PC to the TV. I've turned on my Xbox. I have Game Pass on it, and yet I'm fooling around in the Moonlight app because literally PC streaming is an app on the Xbox, and I was seeing like, okay, is this the best way and most convenient with a controller to just log into my PC streamed and play there? Like my PlayStation, the only reason I have played some games on there is I was trying to play through the PS Plus games because I'm canceling PS Plus because it doesn't even have a value add for me anymore. It's 110 Canadian a year, which if it was my only console is still worth it. I think that price would be worth it. But again, with having other consoles or a PC or whatever, even the monthly games on PlayStation are like too old or irrelevant. It's like it was a nice add-on, but what's the point of me having PS Plus for online if I'm not going to play any games online there? When you and me first got our PS5, when it first launched, we had a list of a bunch of games that you and I were going to play together, and some of them we did, and some of them I played
And
with
we
a
were
couple
also
other
like
friends.
console sharing a lot of stuff as it came out.
Yeah. It'd be like, oh, this game's out in console share. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Like my PS5 was my go-to during COVID, during 2020. And I get it. It's because at the time it was new. It was powerful like the day it came out. It was more powerful than my PC. But they just, even if it isn't as powerful, like they didn't keep the stream of games. They didn't keep the hype going. They don't have a reason to go back. Like it's kind of like, sure, there's a new Spider-Man game. Could have I not had a PlayStation and just waited till that Spider-Man game was on my PC? Probably. Like it's at the point where it's like, why go towards that console, right?
Yeah.
Why even have it?
The last thing to say is the stuff that, we talked about a lot of things that within the industry itself that could be fixed to do it. The hardest part is going to be the one that is the most difficult to change. And it's one that probably won't be changed, but it's still the solution. But there's a stat that people, I think, really sums up like where things are now. So 10%, this is from the Wall Street Journal, 10% of Americans fall into the category of making $250,000 or more. And that's collectively like a household. We're not talking like an individual person. They account for almost half of all spending.
Yeah.
So if you want to understand the problem, especially with Gen Z, because obviously, like that's where gaming companies generally are supposed to make the majority of their money is from those younger people because they're the ones with the free time. You want to understand why things are screwed right now? To all the millionaires and billionaires that won't watch this ever, it's on you fuckers because you're hoarding everything and making terrible decisions to make sure that no money goes elsewhere. Because stuff continues to get pricier, because stuff continues to be, people are not getting higher wages in their jobs, people are not even getting jobs to begin with. Consumers account for, I want to say the last time I saw the stat, it was like 70% of most countries' GDP is essentially consumer spending. So you're relying on people to spend money. What are they supposed to do when they can't spend anything?
Go on TikTok.
You wonder why all these free games are working? It's because that's all they can afford. So, when I do say that like the solution is to get rid of the free-to-play games, that's sort of true. At least from that perspective, because at least it keeps... Because eventually, if there's only, let's say, 20 free-to-play games left on the market that are active, some people are going to be like, well, I hate all of those games, so I guess I don't have a choice now. They'll spend some money. That being said, we live in an age again where piracy is coming right back like it was in the fucking Napster ages. So you can do whatever you want, video game industry, to try to solve the problem, but at the end of the day, if the people at the very top of your companies who are hoarding all the goddamn money are making it impossible for other people much lower than them to have money to spend it, you're kind of in a bit of a difficult situation there, boys. And I say boys because, let's be honest, all the people making these decisions, they ain't women. Not in those companies.
No, probably not.
And it's the thing of like, I don't want to be too political about it, but like, let's be honest, given the way things have been the last 10 years or so, that's the problem. It's the problem, like that I said earlier in the show. Late stage capitalism, it is slowly going to crash.
Yeah.
And this is how we see it in the gaming industry. Microsoft doesn't know what to fucking do with itself when it comes to being able to sell Xboxes. Sony apparently just doesn't know how to even release a game anymore, so they're not sure what the hell to do either. So they're just going to be like, well, whatever we do manage to get out the door, throw it on everything, because Lord knows we're going to have to make up for the $1 billion in canceled games we just did last week. And the entire free-to-play industry is keeping people away from even spending money on some of those games to begin with, so that the indie industry and the AA industry is basically the only ones thriving, because they're not charging you an arm and a leg to play anything. And even if they do, those tend to be the ones that are fucking absurdly good. So they're worth it. Helldivers, if you really think about it, Helldivers isn't... What is it, like normally $50 Canadian for us?
Yeah, 50 Canadian.
When you think about it, is that game really worth that much? Probably not. But goddamn, do you feel like it's worth it when you play it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's Sony's live service. They did it. That's the one. Now move on and make more Astro Bot.
You got your one. We say that Sony got their one, but they've done everything they can to fuck with it anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
There's your one, guys. You don't need to make a Last of Us one. You don't need to make a God of War one. You don't need to make some Horizon MMO that's probably going to fail too, because that's still something in development from what I remember. You got your live service. Stick to it. Make sure it thrives. Now everything else is still there. Make sure you're taking care of that too. Instead of copycatting. And I don't know how many times we have to keep saying this on the show. For the love of God, guys, has no one learned from World of Warcraft? People have been doing this for 30 years now and still don't learn the lesson. You cannot copy what has already got people's attention for more than 5 years. You are not going to pull people away from Fortnite. You are not pulling people away from Valorant and Counter-Strike. You're not going to do it, guys. Stop fucking trying. Go and make something that will work for your audience. Stop trying to take an audience that is already committed. You might get them for 3 months at best. They are not staying. The people that are staying is going to be like the 50,000 that started with you. You're going to get the 16-year-olds that have never played any of these games before. That's what you're getting. That's it. So you're better off making not single player, but like single use experiences that will be replayable in the future or playable for later for people to have the chance to step away from their crutches to go play this for a little bit. Unlike your one person that you mentioned that only plays Rocket League. They're never getting anybody else out of that. But like there is an opening there for a lot of these companies to use, and they just see the numbers that Fortnite generates in a day, basically, and go, well, that's what we want. You're not going to get that. And if you think you're going to get that, you should probably get out of the industry.
Yeah.
Instead of laying
100%.
off a bunch of people that don't deserve it because your dumbass couldn't be fucking not blinded by the dollar signs. Maybe you should go work for the fucking Fortnite devs. You sounds like you're a great fit there.
Accurate.
But yeah, I don't know what else to say to that. Like, the industry is, well, I mean, the AAA industry is in a ridiculously stupid place that is of their own doing and continually not move away from it. Because, like, Microsoft is saying, well, we're looking at, putting stuff, on other platforms. We're looking at some other ideas. Sony's like, well, we're looking at some different strategies and stuff. They're not going to change their mind. They're going to, we're going to find out in another year that another studio is being closed or another game is being canceled that's been 9 years in development or that they're working on another live service game. You're going to hear that. We know that's going to happen because they do not have that capability to think. They look at numbers on a spreadsheet and that's all they want to look at. They don't take any fucking advice from somebody who actually understands the industry.
Yeah. Brutal.
I don't know. I can't say much else other than just vent. So, you know.
This has been very therapeutic, this episode. I'm not going to lie.
Should I be paying somebody for this? Or should I be getting paid? I don't know how this works.
We should both be paying each other, I feel.
All right, so we're breaking even. Got it. Sounds like a plan to me.
We'll split the ad revenue.
Yeah, all that ad revenue that we totally get, because that's another thing that YouTube took away a long time ago. I remember the days of making $4 off of YouTube in a month and being like, that's awesome. And then they were like, yeah, we won't even give that to you. It's like, well, that's stupid, but all right. Well, I guess I'm never making videos again. I don't know, that's another event I don't need to start here. So we're going to take this off the air before I suddenly go any further with that. All right, well, that was fun. That was depressing. Hey, I hope you enjoyed all of that, guys. Well, we appreciate y'all for hanging around with this. So, you know the drill. If you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. If you're watching, or well, I guess watching technically, some services do it, but if you're listening on any audio platforms, you can give us a rating. Please do so. Otherwise, share with all your friends. Don't forget our link tree as well, linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast. Link to our Discord and some other things we don't use. But link to the Discord. That really important thing. We love chatting with y'all in there. So come on, join in.
Discord.
Make fun of us. Give us shit. We'll ban you if you say anything mean. I don't care. But hey, at least we got you there for half a second. We'll still enjoy your time there. I love dealing with dumbasses. Well, I say all the time, like, I love YouTube comments because people think that they're getting to me. And it's like, nah, man. I can't tell if A, you're even serious, or B, if this is a bot. So fuck it. I'm having fun in my own way. I don't care. I still remember, and it's one of those things that lives rent-free in my head. But like the conversation of me saying that, you know, I didn't think the Summer Game Fest was a good thing, and they're like, oh, well, that's just because it wasn't. You're just mad that it didn't cater to you. I'm like, yeah, bingo. It's like whether it's an insult or you trying to like challenge me with like some like, I'm sure there's some criticism that I could look at and be like, yeah, okay, I see that. Here's the problem. No one does it on YouTube. That's not what the comment section is for in YouTube. Like, let's be real. It's there for either I fucking love this, I fucking hate this, or you're a fucking dumbass. And that's about it. Or I guess like the odd bot spam link that happens in there, but you know, it's not as bad as it used to be.
True.
Anyways, before I ramble on for another 30 minutes on some random shit, that's going to be it for this episode. Join us on Friday. Chris and I, we're starting a new series. We're going to be talking about our favorite JRPGs from each decade, starting at the 80s. Then we'll torture ourselves the week after that with the 90s as we go further in that. But the 80s, harder for a different reason, but not nearly as difficult in the end. We actually had a pretty good time making that list together, so look forward to that. So, with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you may be. Take care. Bye-bye for now.